My desire to become a mother really began when I was 17 and I actually had a miscarriage. I kind of just went on with my life and was working and going to school, and I remember finding myself in a walk-in closet. I was just crying with my friend, just really wanting to be married and have a baby, and that just wasn't really the direction that my life was going. I ended up meeting my husband, and we got married very shortly after we had met each other. And 2 days after our wedding, we actually found out that we were pregnant. We were super excited, but also feeling a little bit of guilt and shame because we didn't wait until we were married and we would have to tell people that. I went to my first appointment and it turned out that the baby was actually growing inside of my tube, and we had to stop the growth of the baby medically before it could rupture and possibly take my life. After I had medication, I actually ended up in the ER with severe abdominal pain. While I was waiting in the ER, I actually had a seizure and collapse from my fallopian tube rupturing, and that resulted in me having emergency surgery and losing one of my tubes and almost costing my life. After the ectopic, we had several pregnancies which ended in miscarriage. We then again became pregnant shortly after, and everything was looking great. The baby was developing just as it should. We had a heartbeat. We went back in for our 14-week ultrasound, and it turned out that the baby's heart was no longer beating. The baby had become deformed, and we had to actually have that baby surgically removed. It was beginning to look like Christopher and I would not be able to have children of our own, so we actually decided to go the foster care route and take care of babies that were already placed here on Earth. After we had gotten approved, we actually found out that we were pregnant again, and that didn't stop us from getting a little boy. I had him my entire pregnancy. He was a very rough baby, but I loved him. During that time that we had him, I was in and out of the hospital having to get steroid shots, having to get medication to stop labor, just to keep our baby in. I was dilating, I was contracting the entire time. At 33 weeks, they actually sent me to a really good NICU, and I spent 2 weeks there. They felt comfortable letting us leave, but I was 4 centimeters for the remaining time of my pregnancy. Around the time that he was 9 months old, I was at the end of my pregnancy. We got the call that he was actually going to a different home. The day that he left, I actually went into labor about 16 hours later, which was a very difficult transition for me. I was super excited to finally have the baby that we've been praying for, that we've been waiting for. Yeah, I was grieving the loss of this baby that I had had my hands on for 7 months. Fast and furiously, Eloise entered the world. We had this beautiful 5-pound little tiny baby, and we were just so excited that God had just brought us a baby here on earth, as well as all of our babies in heaven. After Eloise was born, we actually found out that we were pregnant again, and it was not very long after that that we found out that we actually were miscarrying again. A few months went by, and then we found out that we were pregnant again. And this time, my doctor ended up having me on 2 different types of hormones. And throughout my pregnancy with Mabel, I was also in and out of the hospital, having contractions, dilating. Mabel was our 9th pregnancy, and we were able to keep her in there as long as we needed to and deliver her safely without any complications. Shortly after we had Mabel, we found out yet again that we were pregnant, and that resulted again in another miscarriage. I found out shortly after that miscarriage that we were actually pregnant again, and I was super nervous. We were trying to get the hormones approved again by our insurance, and they actually had denied us the approval for the medication because they said I wasn't high risk enough. And this was actually our 11th pregnancy. I prayed about it. I just trusted that God was just gonna pull us through. If it wasn't gonna be approved, we kept battling it, and it just kept getting denied. And so I just trusted the Lord. We could have paid I think it was like $900 a month just for the pills, not even the shots that I'd have to take weekly like I did with Mabel. People thought we were pretty nuts, but we just trusted that God was gonna do it. We just knew he could do it, and so we just waited. And we did not find out if we were having a boy or girl. And the day that Gideon was born was amazing. My friend actually delivered him for us. We were all just in complete awe of the victory that had happened that day. And Gideon's name actually means victorious. In each season of loss, God would just reveal different things to me and just minister to my heart, whether that was through visions or dreams. He showed me a few of our baby's faces actually, and it's unforgettable. I remember one particular time where I actually had woken up and there was an angel at the end of my bed just singing over me during a time when I was actually miscarrying. One particular vision that God gave me just sticks out the most, and it's something that I share the most with women that are going through losing babies, because it gives you so much hope as to where they actually are. I was up on stage leading worship, and I remember the song was talking all about how great God was, and I remember just getting so angry. I was so mad, and then I felt just all this guilt that I was leading this whole congregation in worship and trying to lead them to a place where they felt so grateful for what God had been doing in their lives, and I was so angry. And I just remember he just gave me this vision in that moment of our little girl, and she was just looking up and she was just reaching for Jesus, and I just saw the look on her face, and it was something that does not exist here. And it was a joy that I have never laid my eyes on. I've never seen it. And so I always held on to that so tightly for all of the babies that we lost, just that they did not have to experience anything of this world. Nothing. None of the hurt, none of the sadness and just sin of this world. They just immediately were in the arms of Jesus. They immediately were just in his presence in something that we don't even understand. And so I hold on to that the most for all the babies that we've lost, and I can't wait to see their faces. In short, I am super blessed to have my 3 little babies. I have Eloise, Mabel, and Gideon. I have to remind myself a lot of the struggle because they're all so strong-willed. I never could have imagined during that season that we would have these 3 precious little babies. I always knew that God was so good. I knew that he had a plan. I knew that he was going to carry us through it and bless us beyond what we could imagine, but I just really couldn't imagine how much he was going to bless us with these babies. And just with this story that I can share with mothers that are going through pregnancy loss, loss of their babies that they've had here, it's really amazing what God can do through all of our stories. And so I want to encourage you that if you've lost any babies, if you've experienced anything like that, that you would speak into the lives of others that are experiencing that, because nobody else can speak to them the way that you can.